So, Anakin is supposedly in Ahsoka, and to a much more important degree than we previously had thought. We maybe knew we were going to get a flashback or so, but it seems more than just a flashback based on the last two trailers that we got. We got actual speaking roles from him. It might even sound like they're communicating together through the Force, through a holocron. We don't know. We're going to discuss that tonight. I've got a very special guest. You see him in the title, Master Paul of Fandomology. I don't even know if he still goes by Master Paul or if he's just Paul of Fandomology or Paulology, Fandomology. I don't know, but we're going to get into it in just a moment. Thank you very much for watching this tonight's live show of Coffee on Korriban. I didn't have a name for tonight's show, but let's get into it. Before we do anything else, my favorite comment of the week comes to us from Fedorov100. I think his name used to be Aegis. He said, I miss Andor. This is the only Star Wars storytelling that resonates with me these days. It does seem to be that way. When I think back to the different shows that we've gotten, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Seasons 1 and 2, and also Season 3, very different type of show. We'll kind of set that to the side. The type of storytelling resonated with me much better with Andor than with the other shows. And I think a lot of you guys, if you're subscribed to my channel, maybe you subscribed during that Andor season, you probably feel the same way. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. But let's bring in our guest here. I've got this classic clip to play as a stinger to bring him in. He knows what it is. You better know what it is. This is Master Paul of Fandomology. I'm going to punch him right in the cloak.
I got yeeted!
No longer master. It's just
okay,
Paul.
so just Fandomology.
Yeah.
My apologies. My apologies.
Why did I never think of that?
All right, how are you doing? Actually, Fandomology?
Fandomology.
I don't know. How are you doing
tonight? Why not? But no, I'm doing good. It's been too long since we've done this, and
absolutely.
I was really missing it.
Yes, it's nice being not just back in front of the camera, but actually talking with people. I can solo stream. I really don't like to, but just having someone on is so much easier to have a conversation, especially when it's something that we really enjoy.
Absolutely.
Theorizing about new shows or talking about older ones. But let's say hello to the people in chat real quick. We've got Leia Rose. Here's a sip for you.
I'll follow along.
We've got Charlie. Here's a sip for you. We've got Fandomology. It says, hit that like, smash that subscribe. I would have to say, please don't, because you're probably watching it on your phone. And if you smash the button, this is what will happen. If it will... No, well, fingerprints. You'll get fingerprints on your phone. Or your 2-year-old will throw the phone face down onto the ground and it'll shatter.
Oh,
so
no.
Do not smash the subscribe button. Delicately tap it, please, if you want. You don't have to, but I would appreciate it. Susty, here's a sip for you. Sir Obi-Wan Jacoby, here's a sip for you. I don't know if I've seen your name before, but I know YouTube went through that whole changing the name to the @ and then your name. So I don't know if people's names got messed up at that time, so you might have been here for a while, but I don't remember your name. So welcome if this is your first time. Let's see. Jake76, here's a sip for you. In Toronto, there's a Comic-Con, and Hayden Christensen is going to be there, but I must go. I wish I could go. I've never been up to Canada, actually.
Me neither.
I would love to visit.
That's Nova
Oh,
Vaughn.
thank you. Thank you. Blazerhawk Darren is Nova Vaughn. Got it. Cobra Disney Blazerhawk Jedi Darren Don.
Yep.
Vaughn. Cool. You know, Jake76 always asks how I'm doing, and I really appreciate that. I'm doing pretty good. Rod Priester, here's a sip for you. can't say I've seen your name before, but hello from Knoxville. We're getting the
I think he's
storms.
been on my channel a couple times.
Awesome. Well, I'm in Knoxville. We're getting the storms right now that you guys probably got a couple hours ago. Along with that major wind line that we got last week. I was talking with Paul about that. We had an EF2 touchdown about 6 miles from here. That was pretty wild. The straight line winds were like 90 miles an hour too. So a lot of downed trees. But yeah, Nashville, Knoxville, pretty close. But good to see you. If this is your first time, then a very special welcome. So, what is your opinion? What is your excitement level going into Ahsoka as of right now? Because if I can recount your history with this, Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan did not do it for you. Andor, you initially weren't going to get into it, but I kind of won you over, and you were really enjoying it by the end of it. And then this last season of The Mandalorian, I don't even think you watched it as it came out.
No, I pretty much just let it all play out as it did, watched it all at once, and just pretty much ever since Book of Boba Fett as a whole, my ability to get excited for Star Wars is pretty much gone now. I look at a trailer, like I did go back and watch the Ahsoka trailers as sort of homework for this stream.
Sure.
And I did like them, but the most I can muster is that's interesting.
Lovely. And I'm sure that feels to you like not the position you want to be in. I'm sure you want to be excited for all of these shows, but like, it's I know what you're saying. It's hard to get excited for them.
Here's this literally came to me earlier as I was going down to get my slippers. I love Star Wars, but right now I don't like Star Wars. That's probably the best way I can put it.
Yeah. I would agree with that, honestly. And it's been a little hard to have motivation to make videos. The interaction with the community in the comments, in Discord, and live streams and stuff is more, it overcomes that. So the dislike for current Star Wars and the lack of enthusiasm is easily overcome by the community and talking with other people.
Can I go back for a second to your video that you put out somewhat recently, that Star Wars is dead video?
Yes.
There was this one comment, I forget who it said that Star Wars as a whole will never die, but Disney Star Wars is dead.
Yes, that was a great comment. Let me look at who that was real quick and pin it. I should pin it. Let me look through. It was a shorter comment. I'm not seeing it.
That was a great video, and y'all should all go watch it, by the way.
I included it at the end of my video of that, actually. No. It was a comment on my community post from Aiden S. And his comment was a little longer, but it was essentially, and I used it in my video, that Disney Star Wars is dead, but there's hope for the future, that whether it's Disney or someone else, there's always hope that they can make something that we'll like. I used that in my video because I agreed with it so much. That was a great comment.
Yeah, and that's where I am. I mean, as far as hope that it's ever going to get back to the glory days of the originals or the prequels, that's never going to happen.
No,
because frankly,
absolutely not.
We as fans are not the same people we were back in those days. We've grown up. We have different tastes.
And one may argue that there was never a chance of getting back to those glory days at all. After the sale, because what is in the past is in the past. We have episodes 1 through 6, and those are their own thing, and they're done. We're not going to be able to relive or remake those at all. But one thing that we could do is still get quality Star Wars content. Example, Rogue One and Andor, which is why I made that other video about that.
Exactly.
And because I don't think we have to tap into the glory days of the original trilogy or of the prequels to get something like a Rogue One.
True.
It's totally possible to get that again in the future.
That is true, but at the same time, that's kind of what Disney has been doing, is tapping into the glory days of the original trilogy pretty much since day one. How many name for me one thing that Disney / Lucasfilm has done outside of Clone Wars Season 7 that has not seen stormtroopers, whether First Order or Imperial, Star Destroyers, just Imperial aesthetics in general.
Yeah.
Everything has been Rebels versus Empire, and
Right, and one may argue that that is Star Wars of that timeline, and you can't escape that. And I think Andor did that tastefully. We got to see kind of the back rooms, the meetings of the higher officials in the ISB, which was different than just the stormtroopers on the ground. We didn't see too much of that.
not to mention the local law enforcement of the Corpos.
Yeah, that was actually really interesting. There's so much in that show. I got to go watch that again, because there is a lot of detail like that sets it apart. It gives it a different flavor. And speaking of a different flavor, one thing that I'm getting from these trailers for Ahsoka, it feels different. I don't know if you're feeling this, if you're picking up on the same thing, but this feels different based on the trailers. And sure, there's like the way they construct the trailers is to appeal to the most amount of people, and so it can come across cheesy. We have to fight to win, that sort of thing in the trailers. But the feel of the look, of the mood, of all the subjective stuff that you can't really actually put into words, feels different to me from the previous Star Wars shows that we've gotten. I don't know if you picked up on that at all.
I did a little bit, and your answer is probably going to be different than mine, but it feels more connected to the more mystical aspects of Star Wars. Because as great as something like Mando Seasons 1 and 2 and Andor might be, the one thing that I, for one, was missing was the Jedi being more in the forefront. And yeah, you can argue Baby Yoda kind of gave us that, but this is entirely different, where you have someone who is a competent Jedi, or ex-Jedi in Ahsoka's case, that's going up against other Force users, and it just feels more, I guess you could say, connected to the Force than every
the
other
mystical
show.
Aspects of the Star Wars universe. Absolutely.
And to me, that is what makes Star Wars, the struggle between the light and the dark side of the Force. I think I said it in the lead up to Andor as to why I wasn't looking forward to it, but Star Wars without the Force is just your generic science fiction. And so, yes, I know we had this again with Kenobi, and that flopped, but I'm happy to see that the Jedi and, well, I don't know what they are, the evil Jedi, are coming back into focus again.
Yeah. Well, and they looked like they are a different group of people from the Sith or Wandering Jedi. They look like, were they called Dark Jedi in Knights of the Old Republic? They might have been.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Just corrupted Force users is what they look like, and it's kind of a different category than what we've gotten before. So that's going to be interesting in seeing what they actually are, how powerful they are, and they also look different from the Inquisitors as well.
Yeah, which we're getting another one of those too.
Yes, I'm excited. We're going to get a lot of stuff. I'm more excited than I expected to be, which is good. It's a place that I didn't expect to be in, but I'm very happy that I am in. And just popped up on my screen right now. Everyone watching, there's a couple of you in here right now. There's a message from the like button.
It calls to you.
If you want to delicately tap the like button, again, don't get fingerprints on your phone. But you can delicately tap the like button if you'd like to. You don't have to. Tell him about my lightsaber theory. Ooh, so okay. Sus T calls me at 2 a.m. my time, because he's West Coast. So I'm like half asleep trying to go to bed, and he blows my mind with this theory. You know how the darksaber is not round like the blade, right?
Yeah, it's
a flat plane, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say I have that flat plane of the darksaber, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to deflect blaster bolts, but I don't know how to use it. if I hold it this way, I'm going to have a tough time deflecting those blaster
Yeah.
bolts. But if I hold it this way, it's going to be a lot easier, right? And we know there's a connection with the Force, and in using the Darksaber, you have to have, proficiency in the Force to be able to wield it correctly, or you have to know about it. I forget how they explained it in Mandalorian. Didn't pay attention too closely. But the blade of a Darksaber is flat. The theory is, what if the blades of all lightsabers are also flat, but because they are lightsabers, you can't see that they're flat, but they're still on that plane. They're just so bright that they look like what shape is a bolt of lightning? I mean, we would think it's round.
Yeah.
When you get the cross section of it. So what if a lightsaber is not visible what shape it is? It's just a beam of light, but it still is that saber shape, which is why, and here's where the theory comes in to actually get some explaining done.
Mm-hmm.
Jedi have to practice with deflecting blaster bolts to know which way the angle of their blade is, because you can't see it, and also would explain how in some scenes it can slice effortlessly through metal and people and all that sort of stuff, and other times how it will bounce off of them from someone not very skilled in the Force. For example, Obi-Wan in Obi-Wan Kenobi hasn't used the Force in years. It bounces off the Stormtrooper's plastoid armor because he's using it with the flat part of the blade.
You lost me there. I'm sorry. You lost me with that, because I could see someone completely unexperienced making that mistake. But Obi-Wan, in spite of not using the Force for many years, would still retain the head knowledge. Yeah, maybe he's got to put more practical concentration into it, but he's still going to do his best to make sure it's the cutting part of the blade that it's...
You would hope so. So all of that to say, I don't know that I agree with this. I'm just presenting the facts as I was presented them at 2 a.m, and just your daily reminder that none of this is real. Forgot I had that stinger. I'm so glad I remembered what it said.
I wasn't expecting that either, but...
All right, everyone watching, sound off in the comments how you feel about that strange theory. It's interesting either way.
It is, but at the same time, bringing up Obi-Wan in that particular scene, not that I'm
it's a sore
accusing you
spot
of this, not that I'm accusing either you or Susty of this, it feels like it's just trying to jump through hoops to explain, frankly, a terrible that should not have happened.
She's laughing at me.
Hello, Mrs. Coffee.
Luke as well, when he can't cut through things. Yes. That's I forgot what he said. It was in the middle of the night. I didn't know what you were talking about. Using a saber without practice, yeah. So back to Ahsoka. Here's a question that I'm left with mostly.
Mm-hmm.
How much of Anakin will we see in this show, based off of what we got on the trailers? Because I would highly doubt that all the lines we've gotten in the trailers, there's maybe about 6 or 7 lines, is the entirety of what we're going to get of Anakin in the show. I doubt that. Pretty sure we're going to get more than just that. But at the same time, I don't know.
Honestly, I'm too scared to even try and guess on that one, because they could just pull they could, like, all of that stuff in the trailer could just be a red herring, and they pull a Kenobi on us and just have Anakin be in, like, the post-credit scene the same way that Qui-Gon was. Or they could have him appear somewhat in every episode. Anything is possible.
Yeah. And so that that was what I was thinking. Is it's possible that that's all we are going to get of him, is just those few lines in maybe one flashback scene in the first episode or something like that, which would kind of be sad. But just the fact that we're getting any more Hayden Christensen, I think, is awesome.
Oh yeah, and clearly he loves the role, in spite of the backlash that he got from it back in the 2000s.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy for him that he's back doing what he loves, and clearly he's giving his best in those performances. Like, again, I don't like Kenobi, but I did like that 5th episode that showed the flashback of him and Obi-Wan sparring. I still like that.
Yes, I agree.
And to potentially see more of that with Ahsoka, that part I am looking forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I would completely agree with that. And also to see how he understands that we appreciate him. In all the interviews that he's given in recent years, of saying, like the amount of support that I've been getting from the fans is overwhelming. And it makes me sad that they didn't get that. Him, Ahmed Best, Jake Lloyd didn't get that appreciation back then.
Right.
But I'm really happy that he's still game to play this role through that, now that he's aged well in the eyes of the fans.
Yeah.
So that is really nice. How much of him are they going to use in this show? I don't know. The more the better, in my opinion.
Yeah. You also got to consider this probably will be the last time that we see Force Ghost Anakin, because outside of maybe that final movie where they might bring in Luke, I honestly do not see them doing another thing with Hayden Christensen Anakin.
Are you talking about the movie, like the Avengers Endgame movie of the Mandalorian
this hypothetical
timeline?
thing that's coming out soon?
Yeah.
Unless they use him in that and show him talking to Luke or something, I don't see how they can use Hayden Christensen again after this. So
yeah,
this could be it.
It would be milking a dead horse at that point.
Mm-hmm.
To mix analogies.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. Everyone in the comments, go ahead and comment. How much of Anakin do you think we're going to see? Is it just going to be one scene? Is it going to be every episode? Is he going to be a major character in this show? What are you feeling? And maybe also, what are you wanting to see of Anakin in this show?
I will say this. And this is kind of on a side tangent, but also related, if they are going to give us flashbacks, I don't see them using Rosario Dawson in those flashbacks, because I don't think she's young enough to play a younger Ahsoka. So here's what I would do. Hire someone that looks like a younger Rosario Dawson, but dub her voiceover with Ashley Eckstein.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Yeah. And yeah, I know Rosario Dawson has a different voice than Ashley Eckstein, but people's voices change as they get older.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Myself, as an example. Mm-hmm. Where is that other banner? So that begs the question. It seems like Ahsoka is openly communicating with Anakin. Like when she says, "I wish I never left you." That seems like she's talking in the present to Anakin. Yeah. So, I mean, are they having kind of an open dialogue in this show?
I think they are. I think that is going to be a scene.
Because we have to keep in mind the timeline. This is post Return of the Jedi. Anakin is a Force ghost at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So is he like full on there and able to talk in the same way that Obi-Wan was able to?
I think so.
That would be perfect. That would be ideal.
Mm-hmm. It would. But again, as great as that will be, I can already hear the arguments typing up on their keyboards now. Why is Anakin talking with Ahsoka but not talking with his own son To which I would say, just wait, that might still happen.
Right. And also the scene that everyone wanted to see before we got I don't even remember what show it was.
Book of
I think it was
Boba Fett?
Book of Boba Fett, with Grogu training with Luke.
Uh-huh.
The scene of Ahsoka discovering that Anakin redeemed himself.
Yeah.
That's what we didn't get to see. We could get that in a flashback in this show, say in the first episode of Ahsoka finding out. Because to the average person who might know the timeline and might know where this fits in, they are also going to wonder, how does she know, if she was his Padawan, that he redeemed himself? So I really hope we get to see that scene of him maybe appearing for the first time as a Force Ghost and saying,
Real
like,
quick.
hey, look.
Highlight what Don Clatterman just said.
Training flashbacks to Force Ghost Anakin.
A world between worlds battle on Mustafar between Ahsoka and Anakin. That could be cool.
Ooh. Yeah, the entire artwork, I mean, look at the thumbnail for this stream. The entire artwork for Ahsoka is like that gateway of the world between worlds.
Yeah.
That may come and play so much more of a role in that world between worlds than we are all expecting.
Yeah.
It could be
sure.
groundbreaking.
I
Is
don't
that
know.
what the magistrate lady was opening up? Is a portal for the world between worlds?
It could have been, or just some big star map. But
Yeah.
anyways, I'm pretty sure someone attached to the production of this, it might have been Dave Filoni himself, I can't remember, but I remember seeing somewhere that allegedly this show is going to bring the multiverse to Star Wars.
Yeah, and which I would be all for of through the vehicle of the world between worlds.
Right.
And as long as there is a timeline, personally, I'm of the opinion, as long as there is a timeline, even if that timeline leads to the sequels as the timeline, I'm okay with that, as opposed to many branching timelines. I don't want this to turn into the Marvel Comics series, where there's Earth 147, Mustafar 182, or whatever. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So even if it leads to the sequels ultimately, as long as there is a timeline, little branches off the side would be really cool to explore through the world between worlds. So it's not like you just... Because in Marvel, there's always a way to go back in time or alternate universe to fix whatever the problem is. Like with Thanos, he won in Infinity War.
Real quick, I just wanted to let you know that your camera quality is dropping.
It's probably the storm, I would assume.
Okay.
As long as you can still hear me, I guess. There's a thunderstorm,
I
everyone,
hear you.
going overhead. So they're probably not wanting to stick around. And I'm just getting word that George Lucas will be joining the stream in a few minutes.
Ooh, this will be fun.
Okay. George Lucas himself will be joining the stream in a few minutes.
I've always wanted to talk to the guy who created...
We'll figure it out. We'll deal with that as we burn that bridge when we cross it, I guess.
Absolutely.
So, what were you even talking about?
The whole thing of...
World Between Worlds. Yeah, the timelines. So in Infinity War, and I only saw it once, and this was 8 years ago or whenever it came out. World Between Worlds, and it wasn't 8 years ago, was it? I don't know. A little while ago. They lost completely and utterly, but because of the time issue and the multiverse, they were able to go back, reset everything, and do it all over again. If we get something like that in Star Wars, I won't be happy, because then none of the actions have consequences. There will always be a way to go back and save Luke from getting zapped by the Emperor on the Death Star. There's always going to be a way to save Obi-Wan from dying on Mustafar instead of Anakin getting sliced up. It will lessen the meaning of all of those events if there is not a central timeline.
And you want
as
to know
long as
something
that's
funny?
the case, the branches are fine.
And you want to know something funny? had you told me that like 2 years ago, before Book of Boba Fett came out, when I was like hardcore believing those rumors that there was a Lucasfilm Civil War, the sequels,
Mike Zero.
If you told me that 2 years ago, I would have wholeheartedly disagreed with you. Now, I tend to agree, because as pretty much I've said it before, and I will keep saying it until proven wrong. The sequels, all roads lead to the sequels, and you're either okay with that or you're not. I don't like the sequels, but I've made my peace with them, and so I tend to agree that yes, it would be nice to see a glimpse of what if, but only that, a glimpse. Look out the window, close the window, get on the main road.
Which is what we got in Rebels. That was all the World Between Worlds was for, was little glimpses, and I guess you could argue Ahsoka was saved from Darth Vader in their showdown. But yeah, I feel you on that. As long as there's a central timeline, the branches are fine. Even if it leads to the sequels, which it obviously does. I do not expect there to be a major reality-altering timeline shift that the sequels are the fake universe, and now we have, the actual real one, which is just a big retcon.
I'm actually gonna make a prediction for this show.
Ooh, please do.
I'm going to make a prediction that Thrawn will be the first. And yes, this is going to make so many OG fans of Thrawn that read Heir to the Empire in the EU mad. It's going to make them mad. But I'm going to predict that Thrawn is the first person on the Empire side to utter the term First Order.
Okay, I can see it because it's Disney. I don't like it. First of what? I always thought the First Order name was weird.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Assuming that, yes, the sequels are where we're going, we've got to see the Imperial remnants turn into the First Order, and who better, from Disney's point of view, to instigate that change from at least a military standpoint than Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah. Good point. We also know nothing of his motives. If he is carrying on Palpatine's contingency orders or whatever in the event of his death, if he's doing his own thing, if there are other forces leading this. We kind of learned a little bit of that about that in Mandalorian season 3 about, Moff Gideon and what his plans were with that little group of people's nerds. Echo Base Network, don't leave, please, just for like 2 more minutes. You're gonna enjoy it, I promise. Because actually, I hope it is. You're welcome to join the show if you want, but don't leave. Is he good to go? He's in? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have George Lucas himself. Paul, I'm going to pop you out.
Okay.
There's a one-on-one with George Lucas. We have George Lucas himself joining the show right now. Can you hear me? He's good? Okay. Let's bring him in right now. This is AI George.
Yeah, but there's always this little part in you is saying, what am I doing?
I want you to get out of this office right now. Out!
All set. All I need is an idea.
All right, so now the part of the show where we get to talk to George Lucas, the creator of all of it, the maker of everything we love in this universe. So let's bring him in right now. There he is, Mr. George Lucas. How are you feeling today?
Well, to be honest, not very good. Just relaxing with my $6 billion.
All right, so I know you get angry on this subject because it's not your Star Wars anymore and you don't really have any invested interest into it, but I wanted to ask you, now that Anakin seems to have a more prominent role in the Ahsoka show, how do you feel about that?
You know, I couldn't give 2 craps about what they do in the new show. That doesn't interest me at all.
He is the chosen one, so I'm just asking you, as your chosen one. How are you feeling about him being in the show?
Anakin Schmanakin. They clearly wanted that Rey girl to be the chosen one. So what does it matter?
George, take a deep breath, please.
I'm taking a deep breath.
This is not the way of the Jedi. Jedis are peaceful, okay? Let's be peaceful. And
I know. Anger leads to hate. There's no emotion in all that. Sorry, I just get so worked up about this.
That's fine. I mean, I would be too if I sold my child, essentially, that in the Star Wars franchise, no matter how much money it was for. So now that we've calmed down, how do you really feel?
Oh, it's all rubbish. Nothing they can ever make will ever do anything but sell meaningless toys.
Oh, George.
You've obviously wasted your money on stupid Star Wars artwork. And that Tarkin looks like it was painted by a 5-year-old in a coma.
No.
And that other guy, too. What, he can't decide what his channel is going to be called? Master Fandomology of the Star Wars Losers.
Okay, no, hey, that's not fair. George, get out of here. Sorry, this has been AI George.
Yeah, but there's always this little part of you is saying, what am I doing?
I want you to get out of this office right now. Out!
All set. All I need is an idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for that outburst. I mean, when George Lucas joins your stream, you can't say no, but I'll have him control himself next time. Bringing back into the show, Master Paul.
I don't even know what to say to that. I just got insulted by the creator of Star Wars.
So you heard that?
Yes, I heard that.
I mean, it's kind of an honor.
It is,
but at the same time, like, I mean, it hurts.
Yeah,
George, I painted that. I'm not a 5-year-old in a coma.
Yeah, and
so we're clear.
George, Fandomology is here to stay. I'm not changing the name anymore. It's Fandomology forever.
Okay.
Except for tonight, because I've been dubbed Fandomology.
Fandomology, just for tonight. So yeah, thanks, George. I mean, you're always welcome on the show, but I mean, maybe tone it down a little bit next time. I get it. You're all
here, George.
Off
I'll make
because
you a deal.
You sold your company, but
I'll make you a deal. Next time you come on Coffee on Korriban, if you behave, I'll write you a song.
I mean, it sounds like a fair deal. I'll send him a message. Blue Wolf, good to see you. You just missed George Lucas joining the stream. If you want to see that, rewind like 2 minutes or so. But let's wrap up this discussion about Ahsoka. So the method of what we are seeing Anakin through in this show, is he holocron, force vision, or flashback? What is your thought on this?
All three.
Oh, you think they're just going to go in and
I think it's going to
utilize all of
three
it?
Of those. Yes. Because I think here's the way I think it's going to go. Do you remember in Rebels, Ahsoka shows Ezra a holocron of Anakin demonstrating lightsaber combat? I think she's going to pull that holocron out as a memory, as just looking at it sentimental. I think the Force Vision thing speaks for itself. We've already touched on that, and I do think there's going to be some flashbacks featuring Anakin and a younger Ahsoka. So. All three.
Yeah, I would have said just holocron and flashbacks, but since talking with you and knowing the timeline of where we are, I mean, Anakin just like showing up as Force Ghost Anakin is entirely on the table, and to the point where if they don't use that, I think it'll be a wasted opportunity.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it's like, okay, it's his Padawan. She's off doing this supposedly important thing. Where is he if he's not appearing as a Force Ghost to her? But more than all of that, I really do want to see that initial her finding out.
Yeah.
Anakin is still alive. That would be number one on my priority list.
This isn't a prediction, but this is what I would do if I was writing this story. I would have the meeting between Luke, Ahsoka, and them, talking about Anakin. I'd have that be the very first thing we see in the show. And then time jump to however long till Thrawn returns and go from there.
Yeah.
Because something that has been incredibly lacking since Book of Boba Fett is that moment in the first episode that's supposed to put butts in seats.
Yes. And also a sense of urgency, like a time frame. This is going to happen at this time unless we stop it or something like that. That's been lacking as well. It's kind of just floating along on this adventure and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. That worked for Mando seasons 1 and 2 because no other show had come out that was doing that. But now that we are season 1, season 2, Boba Fett, 6 shows or seasons deep.
It's all
We need a
seasons
shakeup
of
in
the same
formula.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we need a shakeup in the formula.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Blazerhawk Darren says, I doubt it happens, but I'd love to see a campfire scene with Ahsoka, Luke, and Force Ghost Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you
And you know
imagine?
what? Throw in the Force Ghost of Obi-Wan and bring back Ewan McGregor while you're at it.
Yeah. Might as well.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well if they can. If they can get a hold of them.
I mean,
Yeah, that would be pretty
Ewan
sweet.
McGregor was happy to come back for the Kenobi show. I'm sure he'd be willing to do it again.
Yeah. It's a bummer that show didn't pan out like it should have.
Yeah. It really does. I'm going to rewatch that show, by the way. It's just a matter of mustering up the courage to do it again.
Yeah.
I'm going to rewatch all of this stuff.
I
To see whether or not
rewatched
it
maybe.
is as good or bad as I thought it was.
Yeah, I rewatched Obi-Wan Kenobi about a month after the last episode aired of someone's edit into a movie. And I think Deep Dive... It might have been Deep Dive's edit of it. I don't recall. But I think it was Deep Dive. But putting it into movie form, editing out a couple unnecessary things, made it so much more bearable and so much more enjoyable. Getting to watch it in one sitting, in a 2.5 hour sitting, was awesome. So if you're going to rewatch it, probably look for, because there's a dozen or so edits like that out there. Look for one that people say awesome and then watch that.
Okay.
Don't even bother with the show itself.
You glitched out a little bit, by the way, in your audio.
Yeah, it's probably this thunderstorm. It's supposed to be going all night. So
Fun.
is it still going? We are not in a severe thunderstorm warning anymore, so that's good.
Yeah. We had some
Never mind, we are. They extended it.
Ooh.
No, I love severe weather,
Me too.
except for when the tornado is 6 miles from your house. That's a little too close.
What bugs me is when a thunderstorm doesn't last beyond 10 minutes and it just makes everything more humid than before it rained. We had that happen today in my area.
Yeah, especially the ones that look so menacing. They build up, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna get some cool weather today, and then it's like you skirt the edge of it, or it's over in 10 minutes. Yeah, that's a bummer. That is a bummer. I still can't believe how easy the straight line winds were, because that tornado was part of the whole bow that blew through. It pretty much rode the 40, the wind gust like 90, which is pretty crazy. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty wild. So, last thing I wanted to say on this subject is ultimately, whether it's holocron, force vision, flashbacks, it doesn't matter. If we're getting Anakin in some capacity, I'm going to be happy. There's room for disappointment if they don't use him like they should with that opportunity. But, I mean, it doesn't matter all that much. We're getting Hayden Christensen back. Again.
Yeah, I again, I'll just say the same thing that I did earlier. I want to be excited for this show, but right now, my ability to be excited for anything Star Wars going forward, until given a reason otherwise, that part of me is broken.
Yeah.
The most I can muster for this is, that's interesting. I'll watch it and I'll give my thoughts on it, both here with you and on my channel, but am I expecting greatness? No.
Yeah, and I suppose I'm a little bit more optimistic than you are in that my level of enthusiasm is more like, oh, this could be really cool. But I'm not fully convinced that this will be really cool. Except for Andor. I was that way with Andor and it panned out.
Yeah. And I'm happy for you.
Yeah. I got to watch that again too. It's so good. Chat. Question to you before we wrap up. How excited are you for Ahsoka? And what do you want to see out of it, I guess? Just what are your thoughts going into it? When does it debut? Is it the 28th?
Yeah, the 24th?
4th?
The 20-something of this month. It's very close.
Basically a week and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We're coming up on it. So what is your excitement? Everyone put in the chat right now. Maybe scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Ahsoka as we're getting closer to it? And how excited are you to see Anakin in this? Because that's the real question.
And I have another question of mine that I want to ask your chat too. This is unrelated, but
Sure.
it is kind of related to something we've talked about in the background. So the time is coming. The time is coming near, as it has for 3 years now, where me and Tim are going to be having our annual meetup with each other.
That's right.
And yep, that is. I'll be down in your area. September.
My studio's a little more spacious this time. So
Nice. I'll be down in your area September 21st through 26th. What would you like us? What sort of content would you like to see from the two of us together?
Great question.
Oh,
Great
and
question.
Michael will be there too. Michael will be there too.
Awesome. OTD. Yeah, what is it? 23rd. Wow. We're getting close. Yeah, like 8 days.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, you'll be happy to know we're getting 2-day Dollywood tickets this time.
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
Sweet. So that's a question. I'll make a community post about this as well. What kind of content would you guys like to see us make? Because we don't see each other all that often.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I don't get pulled over again this time.
I just thought of a really funny one. We try and quote a Star Wars movie while on, say, Lightning Rod. Like we're going down the roller coaster and just saying Star Wars quotes to each other.
That could be fun. That could be fun. Oh yeah, you haven't ridden Big Bear Mountain yet. That's gonna be fun. I was on that yesterday.
What did we ride last time? We rode Lightning
Wild Eagle.
Rod, Wild Eagle, Tennessee Tornado, Fire Chaser Express, the Mystery Mine, and I think that was it because everything was closing by that time.
Yeah, we'll have some fun. But everyone put in the chat how excited you are for Ahsoka and what do you want us to do when Paul comes into the neighborhood.
And I'll put that on my community tab also.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. Any other closing thoughts on Ahsoka? I know we've kind of covered everything with Anakin, with possible timeline theories. We're not that excited for it.
Well, something that was a bit of a surprise to me, and maybe this is because I still have yet to actually finish Rebels, but, well, two things actually. Number one, I still am not 100% on board with this being essentially Rebels Season 5. Because when this show was first announced, I was under the impression it was going to be a just Ahsoka show. And now here it is, basically a continuation of Rebels. Again, maybe I misread what this is, and if so, that's on me. But Rebels Season 5 Why not just call it Rebels Season 5 instead of just Ahsoka?
Yeah.
And then number 2, again, maybe it's because I hadn't seen the rest of Rebels, but it's surprising to me that Ahsoka is teaching Sabine as a Jedi Padawan, because from what I have seen of Rebels, Sabine never showed any signs of Force sensitivity.
Aside from just being good at jumping, yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah, you're right.
she's a Mandalorian. She's super athletic.
We could get a really cool explanation for it. Maybe she gets injected with the Jedi juice.
Yeah, make the Force seem like steroids.
Yeah. Oh, it's just the midichlorian juice.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I'm excited for the show. I'm not counting down the days or anything. As you can tell, I didn't know when it was coming out. I don't think I'll be doing reactions to it because that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I'm that invested into it. And the reactions of all my type of content get the least revenue. So there's not a huge point.
Not to mention the possibility of the reaction footage getting corrupted like it did with us.
Yeah, it's just so hard, especially with not having like a professional setup.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to keep it looking professional, but I'm sure in the future I'll find a way around it. So, any last thoughts before we close down? Anything you got coming up on your channel?
Yes.
Or anything?
So, for those that are subscribed to my channel, you guys will see that I did upload a video just before coming on here. It was a sort of spoiler-free review to the movie Sound of Freedom, which Michael and I saw tonight. I know we're completely late to the party on this one, but we did see it. And I'll go ahead and say it right now. It is a very heavy movie, considering what the topic is. You know what the topic is. But it's still a very good movie, and I would encourage everyone to go see it. I'm thinking probably Wednesday at about 9:30, I will be streaming a spoiler review of that movie, so make sure you guys tune in from that. Aside from that, it's just going to be more gaming shenanigans with Cash, Crit, Phil, and my friends from Team Danky Kush. You'll see more Rage Paul come out at some point. Just more of that stuff, pretty much for now.
Sweet. And as far as for me, just I want to get back into making more consistent videos. They don't take that long to make, so I don't know why I don't I don't just do it. The motivation hasn't been there, so I guess that's what I'll leave it with. But we got Ahsoka coming soon. Anakin is going to be in it, and I appreciate all of you guys for watching the stream tonight. Paul, thank you very much for stopping by, even though George Lucas kind of made fun of you a little bit. Sorry about that, but yeah, he's George Lucas, so I mean, it's what it's. But thank you everyone for watching. If you've been here from the very beginning of the stream, I really appreciate your time. May the stash be with you, and I will see you wherever I happen to see you in the galaxy.
I shouldn't have shaved off my mustache before coming in.
Yeah,
here.
you should not have. You should not have.